Hi, my name is Crisosto Apache, and I was considered a finalist for the Colorado Authors League 2023 awards for my book, Ghostword. A little context behind the book. It was sort of modeled behind a manuscript that was written by a modernist Japanese writer named Ryanosuke Akutagawa. His last manuscript was called A Fool's Life. I took the structure of that manuscript and sort of used it as a background to orchestrate the poems within this book. Some of the titles for the poems were the same, and many of them have been changed. Um, so the book was published by Gnashing Teeth Publishing. I'm going to read you several poems. The first poem, the title for the poem is called Carrizo, which is a very specific place on my reservation. This poem is dedicated to my uncle, Edgar de Kluge. Number 12, Carrizo. Quote, the submarines inside was dim, unquote. R. Akutagawa, number 12, Naval Base. In my youth, I hitched a ride to San Diego, across chirping desert and distant night. I gazed upon a slow-moving dark encasing a convex cerulean cavity. Each night I stood beneath the sky for hours mesmerized, at the perplexed reformatory of twinkling lights and broken glass fragments spreading against the glistening sunset. A faceless man behind a lost reflection of a glass at a drive-up window informs me, it's too bad you know nothing of your past. How far will I walk against the night, confirming to a captivity I never realized? Some years later, under the kitchen table, they all huddle as the rampage continues toward the back of the house. A clash of debris crashing from the other room recoils, and the broken sounds escape the barricade of doors. All I remember is returning in 1970. All they remember is me sitting at the edge of my bed with the war still in my hands. All right, the second poem I'm going to read is, again, the title is a very specific place on my reservation. This one is entitled Number 4, Salt Well. Quote, in full bloom, the blossoms in his eyes, a line of rags, sad, unquote. R. Akutagawa, number 4, Tokyo. Blooms of yucca and cactus blend together in a greenish hue. These color lines the edges of my eyes every time I walk past in the shadow of Zithgaizani, my holy white mountain. Beneath its peak, I gaze the top of buffalo grass, away from the pace of lines coursing through a path. My artery through the stretch of gravel roadway streams through the wildflowers. The weed stalks surge in a breeze just before dusk as I limp along the trail, wading through the gray. Many times I've tread through dirt roads, remembering the beaten hollow steps, the reaping heartbeat, and the grumbling stone against stone. Through the gray, I see salvation in a honey-lit window, in the distance reaching just before the lost thicket tree line. I remember not remembering the walk from my grandmother's house being this long, a deep lumber longing to embrace my torso. Lost to this path, my legs linger, hobbling as horses do in the nearby pasture. The walk was longer than I care to remember. Okay, so I'm going to conclude this reading with a final poem that is dedicated to my father. This book is broken up into 3 sections. The first 2 sections are modeled after the manuscript that I had mentioned. The third section for this book are sort of responding prompts used to Akutagawa's work that I soon discovered after I encountered that first manuscript. So this final poem is called Sleep, for my father Alfred. Quote, but as long as there was darkness, he believed in light that went with it. Unquote. R. Akutagawa, Cogwheels, number 5, Shako. In sleep, summer dawns a shift from slumbering eyes struggling to open, trying to remain joined with us. Distant birds bicker above roadways where awes of emergency vehicles shrill against the dying bark igneous mesas. There is a dream and a time for resting on a long hillside where his bed opens to a widespread meadow under the overpass. Irreversible, he sighs. Gone are my ills. Above the cranes fly away from benevolence. Specks of rain begin to splash gallantly inside the elegant cupping plumes of wet deerweed. From afar, the light fights to enter the eyelids as a forgotten word drifts out and unwritten. Thank you very much. You can obtain my book through the Gnashing Teeth Publishing's website, www.gnashingteeth.com. Thank you very much.